Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back, everybody.
Yes, and I hope everybody's having a great day out there.
Indeed, we do.
We have been trying to organize. It's an endless thing.
It's endless, and then after that, it's a little bit endless.
Yeah, and this house is not quite officially a tiny house, but it's pretty tiny. It's, I think, 700 square feet, and I don't even see the 700 square feet, really.
No, I don't either, because kind of our stuff is in the way, sort of.
Yeah, 700 square feet, 3 years worth of food.
Yeah.
That is exactly what we got. But again, we're doing it because of knowing, and that's with a G, as in gnosis, and understanding the times that we're in and being prepared. So when you look at Matthew 6:22, the light of the body is the eye. If your eye be single, your body will fill with light. And, many people have had many different conclusions as to what this means. And again, there's so many things in the Bible that point to esoteric truths. And there's so much distortion because, again, it's basically the mainstream version of the religious thought that came from this Abrahamic stream that we have with us with Christianity. Modern Christianity, there were the Gnostics that had a very different view on things. And there were many other groups as well over the years that were persecuted for having differences of opinion. As we know, secrets kept well can lead to misunderstanding and then also lead to a certain level of power and control.
Well, it can lead into even forms of abuse in certain ways with information that is hidden, and if only a certain entity understands it, then it can be used to control others in a not so nice way.
So again, light is knowledge. It's information. It is information. And, this is to many of you out there, to most of you probably get that this is a reference to the third eye, a reference to the pineal gland. And so we look at John 8:32, you will know the truth and the truth will make you free. And we look over at the Dhammapada, one who acts on truth is happy in this world and beyond. So what is the real truth? Well, the real truth is that this is an experience. This is an experience. This is not our eternal state of being. And we have a body. The body's just a vehicle for us to experience this 3D heavy reality.
Right. So it's really, really strange in the Bible how they make it seem like this is your only shot at anything ever. It kind of makes one feel a little bit hopeless sometimes if things are going really rough, or if you're judging yourself in a certain way and you're looking at it through a judgmental pair of glasses in which you grew up with, through society.
Exactly. Again, you have to forgive yourself in order to move on. If you don't forgive yourself for whatever it is, you can't move on. By focusing on your flaws, they may seem amplified. By focusing on things you could have done better, again, not that we shouldn't, recognize when we fall short, but yet we shouldn't focus on that. We should simply hold in our hearts a higher vibration. There is a saying, fake it till you make it. And in a way, it's very, very true and accurate. Your reality is all about how you respond to stimuli.
It is. It's a action and a response. And if we're responding based on only what we've been told by certain entities, then, our reaction is going to be a little bit limited and probably not as natural as it might be.
Absolutely. So when we're talking about the ultimate truth is everything is one. We're one sea of consciousness that is basically, well, again, we could think of it as source, as this enormous eternal fire, and every spark that comes off of it is one individual, what we would call a Shiva or a soul, that is the same as source, but just a smaller portion of that. But yet, again, we could equate it to drops of water in the ocean. The rain falls, each drop is individual, then it hits the ocean, and it's all the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's like, where does one entity end and the next begin? Well, there really is no ending.
Absolutely. As we look at the human energy body and recognize the different layers to the aura, which again is all scientific fact, and I can remember 30 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago, where people still were like, "Oh, aura, New Age woo-woo," but New Age is not new; it's old. It's the ancient knowledge, and yes, there's been infiltration into every sort of aspect, philosophy, religion. There's always been infiltration and distortion in order to, again, cover up the truth, keep it in the hands of the few so they could control the many. But the good news is that we are ultimately just consciousness. Consciousness that at this moment is lying inside of a 3D body. And you might think you need your brain to actually think, per se, or perceive things, but you actually don't, because when the brain is dead and the body is dead, we still are.
Right. We're still here. It's just a matter of energy reforming itself into something that maybe we don't necessarily understand, but as we change, it's just that. It's change.
Yeah, we transition. As one door opens, another closes. As the door closes, another door opens. It's constantly stepping through these different doors of density.
It is, and it's okay. And a lot of this information is held back from us because people can do things with it. Like, you can throw your energy out there and you can assist people, things, places, situations that are going on. When they talk about prayer really does work, and it's not just a single-minded prayer. You can pray to different entities. You can pray with different types of energies. You can pray with different intentions in mind. I mean, it's really endless.
Absolutely. And why would prayer work for people of all different denominations? It's not that anybody has the right dogma. It's all about intention. And it's all about your emotions as well. And, having that connection to those beings on the higher densities that are truly benevolent, truly view us as their children, and truly want to help us. So within each of us lies the potential to activate a personal connection to the superconsciousness. Again, think about the individual drops of water in the ocean, and the ocean itself being the superconsciousness, called Urias in ancient Egyptian texts and Kundalini in the Hindu yoga traditions, are innate serpent power. Again, be wise as serpents. The serpent was wise. Yeah. Of course, why would the serpent be wise? And then at the same time, why would we be made to be so fearful of the serpent? And of course, there's so many different ways of looking at things. People have correlated the serpent with Enki, but the serpent power truly, ultimately, is Shakti. And what is Shakti? Well, Shakti is ultimately the divine feminine, because the divine feminine is what gives rise to life. Mm-hmm. And again, Shiva, when we talk about Shiva and Shakti, Shiva is the consciousness behind the veil, so to speak, the consciousness behind any sort of manifestation. Now, Kundalini, the Shakti energy, in most people lies dormant at the base of the spine. But when it's awakened, it unfurls along the spinal column to the brain, connecting individual consciousnesses to the consciousness of the universe, enfolded within the dark matter of space, at the root of creativity and spiritual genius across innumerable cultures and civilizations. This intelligent force reveals portals that enfold time, space, and the luminous matrix of reality. Truthfully, it's the beginning of knowing, as in gnosis. And we can study whatever documents we want all day long until we experience truth. We'll never know truth. We're just still going on logical deduction. We're trusting in this source. We're trusting in that source. Experiential is the only way to truly know.
Experiential is, it's a lot different than reading something in a book. It's a lot different than learning something at school. Experiential is hands-on. It's that direct understanding that something is what it is because you've had personal relationship with it.
So when you see a lot of references in the Bible, people will take them too literally and not look for the esoteric connection there. So you know of the 7 lampstands. Well, what do lampstands do, right? Well, they're lit to give off light, right? They illuminate. Well, it's the 7 chakras that we're talking about. And chakras are vortices. And when we look at them, we see them as these glowing vortices full of light. They're also dimensional portals to basically transverse into other densities. And they relate to different densities themselves. There's actually, in Hinduism, there's a deity associated with each chakra. And so the root chakra is Ganesh. And Ganesha is the remover of obstacles. So you want to get the root chakra going to remove the obstacles so the energy could fly upwards and to elevate.
Right. And a lot of times in life, things can happen to the chakras. They can get shut down. They can be blocked. They can turn into different colors. And these are all signs that something's not quite going right, at least outside in the ether. And eventually, if it continues that way, if you've had an emotional trauma, then it is going to make its way into the 3D body, and that will manifest itself somehow in the 3D body. So that's when we're dealing with dis-ease and we're dealing with other issues, even a cold, the flu, that something has made its way to your 3D body and is manifesting itself saying, hey, I need help.
Absolutely. And the source of most dis-ease is emotions that haven't been dealt with properly and they haven't been processed. Of course, we can get hit by a truck crossing the street. We could trip, break our arm, things like that. We could be exposed to different chemicals and poisons. But as far as kind of natural, and in this world, there's it's so hard to find anything natural in so many ways. But natural dis-ease is dis-ease, and that progresses through not processing emotions. Because when we hang on to certain emotions, and if that's anger, if we let ourselves look at the news, now again, it's up to you. You can bury your head in the sand, and if you are situated such that you're, maybe on a beautiful island by yourself, and what goes on in the world doesn't matter to you, then I probably would ignore the rest of the world and just enjoy every beautiful day with Mother Nature and all her creatures. But if we're living in a city or in a town and there's the threat of war, the threat of hurricane, tornado, earthquakes, things like that look like there could be life-threatening things happening, well, you got to prepare. But being even exposed to these energies, like you might read something shocking and your heart chakra might have been totally open, and now all of a sudden it's triggered memories and it's shut. And it's having a hard time. All these things can disconnect us from our chakras being wide open. And the heart chakra is really the main one that we're working on in these times, because we've been, and you could again, look at the burning bush. Who shall I say sent me when Moses is looking at the burning bush? And he said, I am. Well, that's your solar plexus. Yeah, that's the solar plexus chakra. That's your I am center. That's your ego center in so many ways. That's the me. It's all about me right here. The root chakra is all about basically the physical body and the vitality. The sacral, obviously, it governs reproduction, but it's also about passions. And as we said, the solar plexus is your I am center. Your heart chakra, now that's the bridge to the higher densities. That's basically your Christ consciousness chakra. That's what Yeshua came to teach about, is how do we bridge ourselves. And when he says somebody slaps you on one cheek, turn the other one, what he's doing is for you, because it's for you. Because if you hold negative emotions and all you're thinking about is revenge, you're not going to progress upwards. You're going to be stuck. Your heart chakra is going to be closed.
Right. And if you look at things, for example, the solar plexus, if you have a lot of problems with your stomach, there could be things in your life that you've witnessed or you dealt with that just you can't stomach it. Like literally, you literally cannot stomach it. And then there's issues with the heart chakra. If you've had your heart broken, if you've been disappointed, let down, betrayed, all of these things can cause problems in the chakra, and then eventually it makes its way to the 3D body. So it's really important that we learn how to open these chakras, remove blocks, and heal ourselves completely.
I can't tell you how many times I've worked on people and they've come in with, say, thyroid issues, and I find out they're in a relationship where they were in a relationship where they couldn't speak up, and they, in order to keep the peace or to even keep from getting abused in worse ways, they couldn't speak up, and they develop thyroid issues, goiters, Hashimoto's, all these things. And that's what the throat chakra is about. It's about communication. It's about speaking your truth. And then we have the third eye, which is our psychic abilities coming online, clairvoyance, intuition, the different abilities that many people are now starting to experience. And then the crown chakra is our connection to source and all the higher densities. When I feel the guides come, when I'm doing mantras, first thing I'll usually see is different colors swirling, and I always see the same colors that swirl, often, of a violet in nature, magenta colors, and I'll feel this connection, like somebody's almost applying pressure on the top of my head, or sometimes it's more like a tapping, or sometimes it's just a flood of energy coming in through the top of my head. And that's the crown chakra connecting, communicating with beings that are in 5th and 6th and 7th density.
Right. These are all things that are connecting you with a different world. And when the pineal gland is open and activated, you just begin to understand that there are more things outside of your realm. There are things that are outside of this 3D existence. You just have that knowing, and that's where it starts.
Yeah, so you could never go back to accepting somebody else's explanation of things once you have experienced things for yourself. You can never undo it. Again, it's just like once you went in the closet as a little child and you see the Christmas gifts that you get the next day on Christmas morning, and then it clicks, Mom and Dad are Santa Claus. Mom and Dad is the Easter Bunny. You can never go back and believe in the literal sense these things, because it's just so obviously it's not the truth. It's looking at things in a way that is not giving you the true perspective. When we look at the chakras, and you can kind of notice this energy flow, the white and the red around this is basically the Ida and the Pingala, which are two nadis. Nadi means an energy channel, and this straight line through is the Sushumna, or in Taiji Chuan, it's Taiji pole, which extends all the way down, actually well below our feet, into the earth, and then also out into the heavens. And these energies need to be balanced. The masculine and the feminine need to be balanced in order for the energy to flow up through the central channel. If the chakras are shut off, they won't be able to flow. And that's something that I've experienced myself. My first block was in the sacral chakra. And actually, until it opened up one night. I was sleeping. And, this is like 30-something years ago. I was sleeping in bed. The moonlight was coming through. Something woke me up, and I looked down, and I could see the chakra. And it looked like a funnel. It looked like a funnel cloud, really, kind of. And it was more like a top that was about to kind of go on its side, and then all of a sudden it righted itself and the energy flew upwards. And then the next day I could actually see the life force with my visual eyes, and it was totally an eye-opener. And you had to kind of fake it till you made it. As far as my meditation, I kept working on drawing the life force up. I kept working on trying to clear the blockages and open the connection. But it was months before I really had anything substantial happen. But once the blockage went, then it flowed. And then I was changed, because all of a sudden I could perceive things I couldn't perceive before.
Right. It will change you. And the key to getting everything opened up and balanced is healing.
Absolutely. And this is just touching on, again, some of the symbolism involved in the tree of life. It's interesting, too. They say that Yeshua died at 33, and we've gotten that that's not really the case. He was in his 50s when he ascended. But again, 33 is, again, representing something. It's 33 vertebrae in the human spine. What's so important about the 33rd degree and masonry? Again, it's reference to the 33rd vertebrae. It's all about the Kundalini. That's what it's all about. And it has to come about through balanced energies of the Ida and the Pingala. Why is the feminine aspect of everything in this world so put down? It's because they don't want your Kundalini activated. They don't want your Shakti activated. They want you to be dormant so that you would be just one of the herd, just another sheeple, zombie, somebody that can't really know, as in gnosis, because they haven't experienced. Why haven't they experienced? Well, because they're drinking fluoridated water. They're doing all these things that shut down the chakras, calcify the pineal gland. It's all part of that bigger picture. When it flows and the third eye is activated, we are absolutely changed. They know this. All the symbolism's right there. It's all right there. From their New World Order, Novus Ordo Seclorum, Ordo ab Chaos, Ordo ab Chaos, order out of chaos. All the symbolism is right out there in the open. And as we talked about Jacob's ladder, 33 rungs of that ladder, Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face and my life is preserved. And the only way to have that achieved is through the activation of the pineal gland when we're in the body.
Right. And these are a lot of things that come about when you're in a kind of an organic position in life, when you're not going through a lot of trauma, when you're not having a lot of hormone imbalances, because it is something that can really throw you for a loop, actually. So, just to be safe, people should be very, very careful. I don't want to say, let's not activate our light bodies. We need to activate our light bodies. But at the same time, the way to do it is through understanding and being easy on yourself, doing the meditations, mantras, fixing all of your, I kind of want to call them hang-ups, things in life that you just don't work well with. You want to fix all of those things and be in a really content place in your life, a place that's not hectic. If you're in a bad relationship, I wouldn't advise that, because you have to heal of all these things. Because once those senses go out there, you have an understanding of everything around you. So you have to be ready to receive that understanding with peace in your heart.
Absolutely. And the more sensitive you get, the more you can literally feel what everybody else is. There's empaths out there, and then there's super empaths. And when our Kundalini is awakened and everything is functioning, you won't be able to tolerate certain energies. They're going to be painful, literally painful. And there'll be certain people that you won't be able to be around anymore because their energy will literally be painful for you. If you're around somebody and their vibration's so low, when we see the all-seeing eye of Ra or Horus, it's in reference again to the third eye, the pineal gland, which is on the right there. It's all right out there. They know this. That's why they have pine cones. Pine cones are another symbolism. Again, it's an as above, so below. We could see the staff of the AMA and Hermes, the caduceus. We could see the spiral. It's the DNA again. This is everything. You see the wings over here? Well, you get your wings only after the Kundalini has risen. Only after the light body is fully activated and functioning, then you are like one of the angels, because you're no longer bound in just 3 or 4D. And the controllers, they don't have their wings. They're bound. They can't go up to the 5th density, 6th density. These beings are just stuck in the muck and the mire. And yet we could, but it doesn't mean that they don't understand all this. And yes, they can still, when you can still, develop perceptive abilities on 3rd and 4th density, where you can achieve things like clairvoyance and telepathy.
Some people are born with it because of past life deeds, things they've done in a past life. So it's just not really well understood in this 3D matrix that we live in here in the West.
So we see the Egyptian headdresses with the cobra coming out. Again, that's reference to Kundalini. activated Kundalini. And so this is the union of Shiva and Shakti. And as you can see, it looks like roots of a tree on the bottom. It's when the energies are balanced, the Ida and the Pingala, the chakras are open, the Kundalini flows, creates the light body. And that really should be the first thing that we're working on. That really should be our priority, because that is the ticket to basically the heavens. It is the ticket to the fifth density and even beyond that. When the light body is activated, you're no longer limited. Many reports of UFOs that we see are actually beings flying around in their Merkabas.
Right. You know, those Merkabas are something you can go anywhere. We just don't really understand it here. It's a form of technology, but it's an organic technology. It's something that we can do within. It's not something we have to externally create for, you know, through other people or other technologies.
Absolutely. You know, and often things will appear to be just kind of like orbs of light. But again, these are beings in their light bodies, their Merkabas. And this, first you have to basically open up your chakras. You have to balance your energies. And you have to stay in that manner of that state of being, keeping yourself in a high vibe. And that's also why we have nonstop wars, nonstop conflict, nonstop chaos everywhere, because it's all going to be constantly, if we let it affect us, shutting down our light bodies. It's shutting down our chakras and making things difficult. This is exactly what this is all about. It's all about stopping the ascension process.
Right. And, you know, people may be in a position or traumatized to the point where if you have these energies running through your body, it could throw you in out of balance. And you wouldn't even necessarily know why you're out of balance or why you're having a difficult time in life. So this is just something really to be taken seriously. And as far as healing goes, that's the most important thing. Yes, we want to be able to understand and perceive beyond our 3D matrix, but we also need to be healed emotionally. That's so important.
Absolutely. And again, how do you do this? Well, I can't think of anything that is simpler than just sitting quietly in the sunshine, you know, where you have nature all around you, and just doing mantras. And traditionally, you'll go through a mantra for 108 repetitions. Now, with Ganesha, sometimes I'll go through sometimes 3 rounds of 108, sometimes 10 rounds of 108, because it all depends on what I'm feeling. And I'm going just with what comes intuitively at that particular time. And again, that's all about initiating the root chakra and the Kundalini. And I'll feel like this. You'll see Vishnu, pictures of Vishnu with Seshanaga, which is the king of the Nagas, over him. And it's like a big hood. And there's this feeling like a big hood of energy that comes over you when you're really activating this energy. And again, a good book to read would be the book by Gopi Krishna and his book on Kundalini, because he went through a difficult opening, and it did give him a lot of issues. It was not an easy thing to go through, and Kundalini is not an easy thing. If it was, you know, we'd all have it activated, even if we weren't constantly being suppressed in the manner that we are. It still can be difficult to fully open it and process it, because it means we have to process things that have perhaps been extremely traumatic for us.
Right. So, I mean, this is why we always like to talk about healing, because we're in a time where the sun is going to activate our light bodies, and it can put us in a place that we feel imbalanced and we don't have a really deep understanding. But to heal yourself and your mind and your soul, the mantras and the meditation really, really help so that things come out in a balanced way for you.
So as you can see, we have 32 mantras on this playlist, and then we have the Qigong playlist. Now, Qigong has been foundational for me, so foundational, and I do believe it was the Qigong that kept my Kundalini's ascension smooth, because there were times when I felt energy stuck in the heart chakra, and it felt very, very uncomfortable and almost like, you know, you could end up having a heart attack. But it was through doing Qigong and circulating the energy, that it passed and it flowed evenly. So I personally will combine them. Mantras, do your mantras, and then sit still in the energy, listen to see what comes. And then also circulating the energy with Qigong. This one right here is a long practice. This one is over an hour, a little bit over an hour, but it covers everything. So it's really very, very complete. And it'll take you through first purgation, which means getting rid of stale, stagnant energy, opening up the 12 primary meridians, getting the energy to flow, charging each one of the chakras, and different exercises for building energy. So that one's a very, very complete one. That if you have the time, performing this on a regular basis will greatly enhance your energy body.
Mm-hmm. Right, and it'll help kind of soothe you and bring you into a place of understanding and quiet. And even if you're not in very good shape, these things are really good to use, because you don't have to be really active. You just have to go through the motions and help bring yourself into a balanced state.
So as always, guys, thank you so much for your patronage. We couldn't do it without you over there, and also on Ko-Fi, where you could do a one-time donation or monthly. And also the good people at Medicinal Foods, make sure you use coupon code EEA. It gets you a discount, and it does support the channel. Lots of stuff here to build the immune system and to help us detox. And to learn more about us, evolutionaryenergyarts.com. Much love. Hope you guys got something out of this. Again, put your questions out there if you have any questions or topics that you want us to cover in more detail. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.